from the MCPLive.tv studios, located in downtown Conroe. It's the Conroe Art League, live.
Hello and welcome to Cal Live. We're the show that brings you what you need to know about the Conroe Art League. We are here to introduce you one by one to all of our artists and our members so that you can learn more about these talented folks and the beautiful work that they create. My name is Marilyn Lowry, and I am delighted to be your host today, and I've been a long-time member of the Conroe Art League. My guest today is Jen Baxter. Jen, we're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes,
I'm excited to be here.
Good. We look forward to hearing all about your story.
Wonderful.
Because every artist I've found has a story, and there's a reason why they do the work they do.
Absolutely.
And we're here to find that out about you today.
Well, thank you.
So, what I'm going to start with, I think, is just a little bit about your history and where you're from, and
Sure.
you know how you ever got into the art business yourself, anyway. And as I understand, it's been sort of a short time that you've been into
a very
art.
short time.
Yeah, but tell me about your history. Where are you from?
I was born and raised in Texas. I've lived in Dallas, Waco, San Antonio. I was born in San Angelo. And now I live in Houston, actually Magnolia. I went to Texas A&M and became a veterinarian, graduated from vet school and came straight to Houston and started practicing. I've done small animal work for the first 20 years of my life, and then I sold my practice and went to work for the state of Texas after a short stint with the SPCA, and I've been there ever since doing food animals.
Amazing story. I'll tell you, that's in a nutshell, because
That's a
there's a
nutshell.
whole lot more to it
Yeah.
than that, I know. I want to touch on the part that you said about the short stint that you did, because this is special, and I want our audience to hear about this.
Sure. Well, I did work at the SPCA, and I was lucky enough to be there when they were filming Animal Cops Houston, and I was in about 10 episodes of Animal Cops Houston, which, crazy enough, they still replay. It's and people call me all the time and go, Jen, I just saw you on TV. And I'm like, this was long before people were like making a career out of being animal doctors on TV and actually getting paid for it. We didn't get paid anything. So it was just one of those things we did, but it was really fun, and I enjoyed it immensely, and it was a great time in my life.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It was a service you
It was,
performed.
usually it is when you do something because you love it,
Yes.
and I did love it, so that was great.
That's awesome. I love
Thank
that
you.
story. And then you sort of tell us about what you do with the state, because that was another very interesting
I
story.
don't always share the full story because most people don't really want to know.
Well, you can just.
I do food animal meat safety for the state of Texas. I do many things. I wear many hats. I go out and do investigations into animal disease problems if they occur at a slaughterhouse or a meat processing plant. I do surveillance for mad cow disease. I do testing for other zoonotic diseases, which of course diseases that animals can transmit to man. So it's a public health role. I go and I do technical training with meat inspectors, and I make sure that these meat inspectors are fully trained in understanding how to identify diseases both in the live animals that are presented for inspection and in the meat, the carcasses, as they go through the process. And we do everything from slaughterhouses to sausage plants to any type of meat processing plant we regulate as the state organization. And so I go in and I do food safety assessments, and I make sure that they're meeting all the requirements that are put upon them regulatorily through the state of Texas and the federal government.
Well, that's awesome, because I'm so glad that you're there doing that.
Thank you.
Makes me feel better when I go buy meat.
Well, it is an important job, and I
It
believe
is.
the people that work for me and do a really great job, and every one of them does, are woefully underpaid, or we're woefully understaffed, as all governmental agencies are. And
Right.
but they all, I always remind them we got one job, and that's to make sure that we can sleep at night knowing that no product that would be injurious to humans, to man, unsafe, ever leaves a plant. That's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's
Thank
a good
you.
job. Thank you.
I appreciate you very
No
much, and I know
problem.
our audience will too. It'll make them feel safer when they go
Sure.
to the grocery store.
All right.
So great. Okay, and so when did you get into art? Tell me about that, because you've only
It's
been a member.
short.
Yeah.
I've only been a member of Conroe Art League for 1 year.
Okay.
I've been painting for 3 years.
3 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And you guys are going to be amazed when
Oh,
you see
thank
what
you.
she's created in these 3 years.
Well,
So-
I love it. My grandson, when he was 5 or 6, I can't remember, got an art piece through his school competition and into the district competition, and made it all the way to Austin, and was exhibited as one of their few pieces from the Klein School District.
Wow.
And I was so proud of him, and so
Really?
I planned on, and I talked to him, and I talked to my granddaughter and said, hey, let's start painting. So I got online and went to YouTube like most of us do, and got a kit from a place called Let's Make Art. I'm going to plug them real quick because it's very inexpensive. It's watercolor, and she gives you all the tools you need to make a successful piece. She sends you the kit. She does the videos online. You can watch them as a group. So my grandchildren and I would watch her video, and each of us would sit there and paint each picture. So it was wonderful. And the funny thing was that every time I would paint one, I would enjoy it a little more. And the kids would be long since left the table and out running around outside. And I'd
And you're
still be at the
painting.
table painting.
I love
And
it.
I'm like looking around going, hello, where'd everybody go? And I wouldn't even notice that they had left sometimes. So,
That right.
But they didn't care. They're like, it's just grandma, she's still painting. So I realized that it was something that every time I did it, it really brought me a sense of peace and lowered anxiety, and it was a very good stress reliever. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do some of this on my own, and I got supplies, ordered, the cheap stuff, but had every color under earth delivered to my house of watercolor, and of course the terrible cheap paper and everything, but it was okay because it didn't matter.
You're learning.
My final product
Good.
wasn't what mattered. It was when I sat down and painted, it was just my moment of zen.
I think that's great, and I think that's a real plug for art in general. Because
Well, I think everybody should, and I can tell you that I've spent my whole life saying my sister's the artistic one. I didn't get the art gene, and I have no artistic bones in my whole body. And we'd always laugh about it. And she'd go, "Yeah, you're right about that." And then I started painting, and she's like, "Wait a minute, what are you doing? You're making me look terrible." And
that's
she's
awesome.
like, "It turns out you were the one with the art gene, not me." And I said, "No, honestly, I think everybody has the art gene.
You do.
Every single person on
That's
this planet
right.
has the art gene. You just have to tap into it, and you have to just enjoy what you're doing. And however you start, whatever you start, I'm just living proof that it's never too late to
No.
find art and to enjoy art and to just say, hey, this is great."
I think so too, and I think that there are so many ways to express your creativity.
I agree.
A lot of people do that through their art, and there are so many different kinds of art.
There are.
There's just
Yes.
such an endless amount, and I think it's getting more extensive now. And now that we have the internet, we have all these instructions on there. We have all these products that are on
It
there.
is very accessible to the
Yes.
everyday man, and honestly, the choice of an inexpensive art product that you can get off of an online cheap art store is fabulous, because I'm not sure I would have continued on
Sure.
had it not been so easily accessible. And
Sure.
and then there's a million people online that'll help you learn art for free. Most of them want you to buy their class, but you don't have to get a lot of instruction from
That's
them.
really right.
So it's really fun
Mhm.
to realize that you can get on YouTube and hunt
Uh-huh.
for whatever it is you're trying to do, and there's going to be somebody showing you how to do it.
There is, exactly. You just have
I
to...
think it's marvelous. You and I both are from an age when we didn't have that.
I know.
And
I know.
to have it now and to say, hey, I can learn to do anything I want to do.
I know. It's
There's
so
a video.
fun.
There's
I
a
know.
video. Yeah.
I know. All you have to do is know what you want. And, you know, I've asked people before, I said, what are you doing? What do you call that? Because I want to get online and see if I can figure out how to do that myself. So it's just, it's easy and fun and, like you say, so accessible. And I encourage anybody who's even thought about art before or any kind of creative endeavor to check it out, you know, see what you think. And then if you're really interested in art and you live in this area, well, we want you to come to Cal.
We do want you to come to Cal. They've been wonderful to me.
Now, what have you done with Cal since you've been a member? It's been about a year, you said.
It's just I just renewed my membership. I entered a couple art shows last year. I meant to look up the names. One was the Cal Spring
The spring show. Mm-hmm.
And that was the one my first picture was entered in, and I ended up winning a first place.
Oh boy, we'll see that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see that.
That's
in a little
so
bit.
exciting.
I also entered in a different show that once you're a member of Cal, there's another site you go to where you can enter different competitions all over the United States, really all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I entered a different one and was accepted in with the same picture. And it was the Women in Art exhibit up in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was fortunate enough to get one of my pictures in that and get to have it exhibited. And to me, it's crazy because I don't even understand how that could be possible. I'm like,
No, I know.
Yeah.
Well, the internet and all of these, you know, ways to enter, it's made so easy now.
It is.
Before you had to haul
what
all
a
your
great,
stuff.
What a great thing to do during these last couple tough years with the pandemic.
Absolutely.
It has been, I know so many people, I personally joined an online art school, and I've met so many people there. We have online study rooms, art rooms, where we go in and we can work with each other. We have online instruction. We have all sorts of, everything is video conferencing for our teaching, for our one-on-ones with our instructors, and you don't ever have to leave your home. And I joined during the pandemic saying, I got to do something and I want to improve my art.
Yes.
And Evolve is the name of the company, and if you're looking for something, I encourage you to go and look at their curriculum, because what they gave me was a fundamental background into lines, edges, and color, which is the things we all need and help us to really go in the right direction with our art. And
That's
I don't think I
great.
would have found that had I not found this group. So
Well, that's
and-
just fantastic.
Yeah.
And didn't you say Evolve is the name of it, and
Correct.
the artist that has it is Kevin
The artist
Murphy?
that founded it is Kevin Murphy. He is a portraiture artist. Before that, he spent 20 years in graphic design or graphic art and was quite successful, including the cover of Rolling Stones and many, many wonderful, wonderful accolades that I can't remember even a one of. But he's quite talented. He's just wonderful, and this is his idea. This is his brainchild, and he is so funny because while he doesn't run the online program, he was the founder. And we have what's called the homework room, and it's an online room where anybody can go in there 24/7 and paint with other people, with ourselves, and he pops in.
Ah.
And he popped in one morning when I was having a particularly difficult moment with a portrait I was doing and just saying, I don't know what to do next. And it was so funny how he just popped in that morning and he led me straight through it, got me back on track again, helped me to understand.
Isn't it wonderful to have that,
was
you know,
wonderful.
one-on-one instruction? Because I know
It
we
really is.
also have instruction at Cal. We have classes
Lots
that
of
go on there.
wonderful classes at Cal. It's something that I need to take more advantage of. It's just not something I've done yet.
Well,
Because
it's
I can
okay.
sit at home and do and never leave my art studio. And-
We'll have you over there before long. You're going to know so much, you'll probably be out there teaching.
I
So,
don't know
hey, you
about
just
that.
keep it
I
up.
don't know
That's
about
right.
that, but thank you.
Well, you said that I had asked you before what your inspiration is you've told me about some of the man that did this and the lady that you learned from before. And you also said that you had a favorite subject.
Oh, it's
Surprise.
animals, of course. I'm a veterinarian.
No surprise
So
there.
no surprise that I started painting animals, and I started with my own. One of my first portraits was one of the dogs that I treated at the emergency clinic that I work at.
Oh.
And his name was Draco, and he was a really wonderful little guy. And he was a miracle case because he shouldn't have lived.
Oh.
He was very, very sick, and he was sick for weeks, and he was in ICU for weeks. And, you know, I went and talked to his owner right at the beginning and said, I got to know right now, you know, are you up for the fight? Because this is going to be a fight, and it's, you know, it's going to be an expensive fight. And I need to know before we do all these heroics and everything if you're in. She said, I'm in. I said, all right, you're in, I'm in. And we fought for this dog for 2.5 weeks. He went through a lot of episodes. I mean, he came in flatlined.
Oh.
Yeah, and we were resuscitating as I went and spoke to her, saying, do we keep going or do we let him go? Well, she said keep going, and we brought him back. And he was very sick for a very long time. And a lot of these really sick animals go through a lot of organ shutdown, and he actually lost his vision.
Oh.
But he went home. And so the picture she sent me was right after he went home, and he had this big harness on because she had to kind of hold it and lead him around and teach him where to go. But it was a wonderful picture, so I painted it for her. And as it turns out, about a month later, 2 months later, he started regaining his sight, which is what we hope for on these cases.
Wow, I didn't
As
know
he
that
got
could
healthy,
happen.
his sight came back, and he's just as normal and happy and healthy as they come now. And but this picture was painted when he was blind, and it was for this owner. And of course, I gave it to her. And you know, those are the things that, you know, for me, I felt fortunate that I could do something like that for my client who worked so hard and had so much faith in me and allowed me to do as much as I could for animals, because not everybody can do that for a multitude of reasons, and it doesn't even matter why. What matters is that this one said, I don't care what you have to do, save my dog. And he was only 12 weeks old. Yeah, he was a puppy. So her friends were telling her, you're dumb, you're an idiot, don't pay all this money, just go get another dog. It's cheaper than paying the bill. And they were babies. But they were right, and she'd only had him for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And so they weren't wrong. But she was one of those wonderful owners who just said, nope, this is my dog.
That's right.
This is the one I want. And so I did the painting for her as a thank you for trusting us to do what we could do for this dog.
That's fantastic.
And for trusting and deciding that this was her dog. She didn't want to go get another puppy. She wanted this puppy. And he's happy and healthy, living his best life now.
That is so wonderful.
It is. And they don't all turn out that way, but when they do, it makes it worth it for the rest of them. It's one of those things where you go, okay, I lose a lot, and that the fight isn't always good. It's always valiant, but it doesn't always end in success. So when it does, you relish in the successes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And that you were able to provide even the painting for her, too. I mean, it's all the way from helping him regain everything and then to paint a picture of it. I mean, what a wonderful gift you gave to this lady, and it's so beautiful.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, why don't we, I want to ask you one question, and then we're going to look at your images.
Sure.
You have a studio where you
small
work.
one.
Yes.
I have a bedroom.
You have a bedroom. A lot of us are like that.
Yes.
I know. Well, that's wonderful, and
Yes.
that's yours. So, and that's where you do your work.
Correct.
And and as far as let's take a look at the work then,
Sure.
since we're talking about that
Let's do
anyway.
it.
So, what do we have here? Oh, this is your.
This is
the
Draco.
doggy.
This is Draco.
Oh.
Draco the Miracle Dog.
Oh.
We titled this one The Miracle. And like I said, it's won multiple awards, and it was in watercolor, believe it or not.
Wow.
And it's funny because that big old clunky harness had to be a part of it, because that was how his owner got him to not run into walls and run into stuff.
Yes.
So, yeah, but that's him looking up at his owner, and he can't see.
Oh.
But he could hear her voice and would look up at her.
Oh.
Yeah, she said it was worth every minute. She said even if he'd never got his sight back, it wouldn't have mattered.
Oh.
Because he was
no,
there, he was back with her, and he was happy. And
Priceless.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, I'm so glad you were able to do that, and the
Yeah.
awards that you won for it, wonderful.
It made it all that much more special
Deserving,
for me.
so
Thank you.
deserving.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a look at another piece then.
Sure.
And what do we have here?
This
Oh,
is-
wow.
This is one of my very first paintings, believe it or not. This is one of my
Wow.
foals. His name is Deacon, and he was a weanling, so he was just off his mom. He was about 6 months old,
Uh-huh.
and I took a picture of him and painted it. And he's such a doll, and you know, I didn't know what I was doing, and but it's from the heart. Everything I do is from the heart.
Sure.
And you can see there's no background. It's watercolor, and I just left the background. I didn't know what to do with the background. I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm like, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to paint what I can see. And so but people, it was received really well, and people
Yes.
just loved it, and
Uh-huh.
they encouraged me because of that one to continue on. And
That's great.
That was really what started out going, okay, people are receiving me well enough. They're not laughing at me, so.
Well, you're very brave to go out there and do that, because I remember when I first started, it was like all of my paintings were for my family. I was
Right.
just going to give them to my family or my
I've
friends.
given away most of my paintings.
That's
I'm
what
just
I
gonna
did.
admit that I'm like too afraid to sell anything. I give it away.
I know, but sometimes the people that you give it to, they're so appreciative.
Yes, they are.
And you know, but it took me a while. But then I decided, okay, I'm gonna take these babies and I'm gonna put them out there and
Yeah.
see what happens. So,
Right.
yeah, and I'm glad that you're venturing out, because that's a lot faster than a lot of people do. I'll tell
Well,
you.
it's scary. It's
Uh-huh.
really scary.
It is.
We all, I've had a successful career. I have a great life.
Mhm.
And, to do something that you're not sure of yourself, and especially something
Yeah.
as personal as art,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to go, okay, are people going to laugh at me? Are people going to look at my work and go, all right, we got to be nice, but really? So you
They're not-
never know.
No, you
never
don't.
know what people are going to think and what's going to be said, and but it's an exciting journey.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And I can see from all the different things that you've done that you've had a lot of varied experiences in art. It's just a continuation
It
on that
is, and
journey.
I feel like it's my next step in my journey.
Don't you love it?
I feel like I breed horses, I ride horses, but all of that is all of a sudden taken a back burner to my painting. I love the painting. So.
It's great. All that can mesh together and make that
It
wonderful
can.
tapestry of
can.
your life.
I think it can.
I do. Okay, we have something else to look at. Oh, wow, how pretty.
This is a watercolor. It's an ocelot, a young ocelot in Panama.
Oh.
Took a trip about 5 years ago to Panama, and I took a picture of this ocelot. It was at a rehab facility,
Uh-huh.
and I just loved it. I loved the way it was looking up at you, like, I don't know what to think of you.
Oh,
And I fell in love with the picture, and that was my
Precious.
first attempt at it. I'm so excited with where I'm going now with my oil painting.
Uh-huh.
I'm excited to paint it again in oil and see what I can do.
oh,
But that was an early picture of mine.
yes.
So
So you've moved now more into oils.
yes, with the
from
Evolve
watercolors.
program is done all in oil, and so I was really hesitant at first to go from watercolor, which is all I thought I could do,
Mhm.
and to do oil. But the Evolve program is so wonderful. They give you everything you need. They set you up, and that was kind of why I finally said, okay, I'm doing this. They send you all your supplies, and they send you only the best paints, the best brushes, the best materials. So they use Old Holland paints, which are just as good as they come, and I've absolutely fell in love with the feel of putting the paint on the canvas. I fell in love with mixing my paint with the oil and with my medium. I could sit there all
Very
day and
special.
make colors.
Oh, I know.
I don't really know how to explain it except that it's all quite, for me, it's the experience is the whole thing. It's not just getting a picture that someone thinks is good. In fact, my theory's always been I'm not doing this for anyone but myself. I'm doing this because when I'm in front of that canvas, all the stress is gone. I just relax. I forget about the world. I forget about the pandemic. I forget about my troubles, and I paint.
You're in the zone.
It's in the zone. It really is. But I think anybody can find that zone.
Oh, they can.
I think it's important to do it if you're going to do it for yourself.
Mhm.
And if something good comes of it and someone else likes it, that's just gravy.
Perfect.
That's just gravy.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, and I think we have another piece.
One
that
more
we're gonna
piece.
Look at.
This is
That's different.
This is an oil. This is one of my early grayscale paintings. It was a painting of Marilyn Monroe. I did have permission from the group that owns the rights. I paid for permission to paint it. And I think
What?
it's important for everybody to know when you're out there looking for
Yes,
stuff
you
to
do.
paint. Either it needs to be your own stuff or you need to make sure you have the right to paint it.
That's right.
And it's important to me to mention that just because I had to learn like everybody else that you don't just go out and steal something off the internet and paint it.
No, you don't.
But anyway, I bought the rights to paint this as an artist,
Uh-huh.
and it was fun. It was just a fun, see what I'd learned from my first couple blocks, it evolved. This is after 2 blocks. I'm in block 5 now,
Mhm.
and I'm in the master's program, but that was only after the first 2 blocks I painted that. And I painted that picture in
Very
less
nice.
than 24 hours as a pretty much a one-sitting alla prima. I said, I just want to do a quick fun painting in between blocks because I'm bored. And I went and found that picture and decided I was going to paint it. And boom, there it was.
It's beautiful.
The reason I brought it was to show everybody value,
Mhm.
edges, color doesn't even matter.
Right.
Value is a far third. You make sure you get your shadows and your lights. You make sure you understand where everything goes. And there you are. You can put something
Exactly.
on paper that it's not a perfect painting, and it wasn't meant to be. It's meant to show the world that, you know what, anybody can do this. And after 2 blocks with this wonderful online program, that's what I was doing.
That's wonderful, and I love your shadows. I love your values. You can really see it well with your grayscale.
It's so important, and I think
It
everybody
is.
should start in grayscale, and that's what we do in Evolve. You start in grayscale, and until you understand values and edges, you don't go to color.
Well, and there's a way that you can even keep that up after you've started with doing color, and improve your paintings tremendously by just taking a photograph, a black and white
Absolutely.
photograph of it. And there are a couple of apps online
Yeah.
too that will
But
do
I
it
put
for you.
everything in grayscale before I paint to make sure I've got my values set, to make sure I
Good
see
idea.
where things are going, make sure I see my scale and how light or dark things have to be, because color can easily overwhelm a painting,
Yes, it can.
and you forget about all these important things that every shadow should be darker than every light. Funny little things you learn in a class. A good class teaches you these things, that
Sure.
if you want your eyes and your brain to understand what you're seeing, it doesn't matter what you see in the photograph or the picture or the person standing there. What matters is what your brain's going to see when you look at that painted picture.
That's it.
And sometimes it's 2 different things, so you have to really understand those things when you put it on,
You do.
on the canvas.
You have to understand that you need the lights, the lightest lights, the darkest darks, and the midtones
And the
as well.
midtones.
And
Absolutely.
yes, and if you don't have those,
Yeah.
and you also have to make sure that you have a good focal point.
Absolutely,
Those two
and,
things.
and I some really great people not in the Evolve program that I've learned from saying you're not painting a horse. Well, Evolve says you're not painting a horse or a portrait. You're painting edges and values with a little color added in. But another really smart guy says you're painting light.
Mm-hmm.
Find
Sure.
out where is your light. Where is the spot where your light has the most impact? Make that your focal point. You can have secondary focal points, but you really got to think about what you're going to do.
Yes,
And there's
you
a lot
do.
of pictures out there that don't make good paintings because they weren't taken in the right light.
That's
And people go,
exactly
I don't
right.
know why I can't make this look good. Well, because it was a bad photo reference to start with. And
That does
I am
make a
learning that
difference.
now. I didn't know that when I started.
Well,
so I'm
you're doing
excited
well.
to learn it.
For 3 years, I would say you are coming along.
Thank you.
Doing great. Okay, so where can people look at your work? Do you have a place?
I stay pretty low key, and I'm really spending most of my time now concentrating on my school and my school work. So I'm not selling a lot or doing a lot of stuff for other people other than family who demand it. But I do have an Instagram account, and it's Jen_Calle, Kalle, and that is my Instagram, where I do put stuff up there usually on a weekly basis, showing the world what I'm doing. This is kind of my foot in the door of saying, hey, I'm here. I also have a Watercolor by Jen Facebook page, but honestly, I've put it on the back burner for now while I do this course, because I really want to spend the time now finishing out, and I'm hopeful to get through this master's program probably in the next 6 months, so I can really then take the next step in my journey and start selling some art.
Fantastic. Sounds like you have a great plan.
I have a plan.
Well, I tell you what, Jen, it's been wonderful talking with
Thank
you
you so
today.
much. This
You
has
are a
been fun.
fascinating person, and I love hearing about your journey. You've done so many wonderful things, and things to help other people, things to help animals, and now you're having fun.
I'm doing
too.
this for me.
You are having
For me.
fun.
So if I never sell another thing or a single thing, it doesn't even matter to me.
That's
It
awesome.
doesn't matter, so I'm lucky in that way.
Okay, well, folks, we're
Thank
going to have to
you.
close up now, and to see Jen's art, as well as the art of some of the other member artists at Conroe Art League, please come and visit us. We're at the Best Little Art Gallery in historic downtown Conroe at 127 Simonton Street. We're open Tuesday through Saturday from 11 until 4, so please come and join us at the gallery, where we live by our creed: create, appreciate, and learn. Have a great day, and thanks for being with us.